Welcome to my Explained series, where I look at a character and go through various factors about him. In this episode, I'll be covering Regulus Corneas, the Sin Archbishop of Greed, and we'll discuss his appearance, powers, his impact on the story, and some trivia about him. Regulus wears clothes which is predominantly white and has gold-coloured eyes and white hair. Despite being a Sin Archbishop, he is described to be plain and average and forgettable. With that stated, Regulus is of average height and build and has a handsome looking face. Regulus personifies the colour white and is predicted to be over the age of 100, however his true age is unknown. Regulus's role is being the leader of the radical faction of the witch cult. This is something told to us in Emilia's first trial, but it was cut out of the anime. Not much is known about what Regulus actually does as the head of the radical faction, however he has appeared multiple times over the series, the first being at Emilia Forest 100 years prior to Subaru's arrival, and also at the Wallachian city of Garkla, which is known as an impenetrable fortress. It was subsequently destroyed by Regulus alone. The hero Kurgan also met his death during this time at the hands of Regulus. The reason for Regulus's arrival at this Wallachian city was rumoured to be because of a meteor belonging to one of the 6 witches was apparently inside the city. However, it's unknown if this was true or if it was simply a rumour. Regulus's ability is split into 2 main components: Lion's Heart and Stillness of an Object's Time. Lion's Heart allows Regulus to stop his heart's time, essentially giving him invincibility. However, there is a drawback where he can only stop it for a small period of time, noted by Regulus to be 5 seconds, and anything more would be severely damaging. During this time, Regulus is immune to all damage and attacks, seemingly being invincible. Furthermore, he can also give Lion's Heart to any of his wives, which removes the time limit on his ability, essentially making Regulus permanently invincible to any and all abilities thrown at him, providing his wives are actually nearby. Regulus's second ability is known as Stillness of an Object's Time. With this offensive ability, Regulus can simply freeze the time of any object, whether it be the air itself, dirt, or even Regulus. The object that is frozen cannot be interacted with by any outside influence, meaning that objects with their time frozen, such as dirt, become lethal bullets no matter what it collides against. This is something that is seen when Regulus attacks Pandora in Emilia Forest. The dirt is imbued with stillness of an object's time, and when thrown, the dirt continues to travel in a straight line regardless of what it comes into contact with, and whatever it does touch is destroyed. In that case, it was Pandora being obliterated. Regulus, like many of the Sin Archbishops, seems to lack any basic human understanding. Regulus describes himself as someone who is satisfied and views himself as perfect, which means that he himself is not greedy, despite bearing the title of the Sin Archbishop of Greed. The only thing that Regulus wants to do is live life the way he wants to, without anyone interrupting him when he talks or getting in his way, as that violates his rights as a person. Despite this though, Regulus will kill people over very minor reasons, stating that they violated his rights. When Regulus first gained his authority, he killed everyone in his village, his parents and his siblings, and he forced his childhood friend to marry him, becoming his first wife. Regulus only ever made a grave for his first wife, and his first wife never smiled or laughed, something which Regulus saw as fine because she was pretty. However, when Regulus's first wife was dying, that was the only time that she started smiling and laughing, showing that the only time that she was truly happy was the salvation that she got from death. Some more important trivia about Regulus is as follows. Did you know that Regulus has the strongest combat ability out of all divine protections and authorities? Again, this goes against the misconception that one's authority is stronger the more you display the qualities of the sin you are. For example, some people state that the reason why Sekhmet, the Witch of Sloth, is so strong is due to the fact that she is slothful and she has the authority of sloth, whereas Betelgeuse, for example, was very diligent, the opposite of sloth, so therefore his authority was weaker. However, Regulus is a good example of why this theory isn't true, as Regulus states that he isn't greedy, nor does he really display any intent on gaining things from other people, apart from staying around his wives. Whereas someone like, for example, Echidna, the Witch of Greed, wants to know everything and anything in the world, as she is the personification of greedy. Yet Regulus is infinitely times stronger than Echidna, who personifies greed, again confirming that you don't need to display the sin of the authority you have for it to be a strong authority. Regulus is in fact the strongest Sin Archbishop of the Witch Cult. Despite that though, long-range attackers could potentially beat him. Tappei once stated that Puck in his true form might have a chance to beat Regulus at a distance. The reason for this is because Puck is causing widespread damage when he actually does transform, known as an astral transformation. This can actually kill Regulus's wives, who are not invincible. Once Regulus's wives die, then Regulus would lose the ability of giving anyone his lion's heart, thus making him invincible for only 5 seconds, and during the downtime where he recovers, Puck could potentially kill him. Despite Regulus being invulnerable due to his authority, it is shown that some characters can cut through authorities, implying that despite Regulus's actual invincibility, he can be killed should he ever come across someone who could cut through his authority. This trivia will contain a minor spoiler for any anime onlys, so you've been warned. Side stories involving Sin Archbishops alone are rare to come across. However, Tappei once wrote a side story about Sirius, the Sin Archbishop of Wrath, and Regulus Corneas, the Sin Archbishop of Greed, after the events of Arc 3 and before the events of Arc 4, where Sirius is actually crying after finding Betelgeuse's burnt remains. In this side story, Regulus tells Sirius to stop crying, as it's infringing on his rights and doesn't take into account his feelings. We see that Regulus is actually talking to Sirius through a communication mirror, and he appears to be in his mansion. During this exchange, as Sirius stops crying, one of Regulus's wives seems to get scared, and Regulus then kills the wife, shattering the communication mirror in the process. I'll put a link to this story in the description, but it's an interesting read to gain insight of Regulus's daily life. That's all for my Regulus Explained video. Hopefully you learned something new, and thanks to my channel members. I'll see you guys next time.